Hey guys, welcome back. In last lecture we finished with inheritance. In this lecture we'll continue with if statements and logical and comparison operators. Let's start. Open your coding editors and let's navigate to playground.js, and we will start very simple. We will comment out code we don't need. Alright, so for example person prototype and the object prototype we don't need in this lecture, so I will select this and let's press here Ctrl or Command and a slash. Now let's comment doctor print user info and doctor persist like this, and let's comment person1 print user info as well. Let's go down here and let's comment console log db items we don't need here, and we can start with this lecture. So let's talk about if statements. We'll start very practical and we will create here very simple if statement. So let's create here if statement. You will write the if statement like this. So you'll write if. Okay, and now normal brackets for a condition. So you will write here some condition that can resolve into a true or a false value. And depending on this value, your if statement will be executed. So you need to write here curly brackets for if statement body. And a code inside of this body will be executed depending on a condition here. Okay, so let's write here, for example, some console log. All right, I am called hooray. Perfect. So now we need to provide here a condition. So some expression that will resolve into a true or a false value. So I will get here true itself. Okay, so true value is always true, so you can guess we will jump inside of this code. Let's write here debugger. Let's save this and let's go back to our browsers. Alright, let's refresh and you should see that we will be jumping inside of this if statement. So if true is true, then console log out this text here. So of course I will jump here because true is true. Alright, let's see something more. Let's go back to our coding editors. When you will write here false, this will be of course not executed, but you can use here also else block, alright, like this, and a brackets for a body of an else block. And let's write here some code. So let's say console log I am called to welcome in else block like this. Perfect. All right, let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers and let's refresh this and let's see what we will get here. You can guess what we will get here. I told you if condition will evaluate into a true value, then if is called. Otherwise, this else block will be called. Okay, so you can see here there is a false, so of course we are not getting instead of if statement, but we will get instead of an else block. Alright, so let's see. You can see I'm calling this console log here. Perfect. Now instead of a false and a true, let's use some actual expressions. So let's forward this, let's go back to our coding editors. And let's use here something else. So let's say, let's write here if 5 is bigger than 7, then call this block here, alright? Otherwise, let's call this else block here. Okay, you can guess what we will get here. Okay, and this is a comparison operator larger, alright? So you can also see it in a console log, you can try it out here, you can try it 5 is bigger than 7, and you will see this expression will resolve into a false. You can try if a 5 is a smaller than 7, for example, like this. You can try if 5 is equal to a 7, like this. Okay, and you can see here 3 equal signs, and there is a difference between 2 equal signs and 3 equal signs, and I will be talking about this maybe in the next lecture, or in this one, I'm not sure yet. Okay, so you have a larger, smaller, equal, you have a larger, and equal. Okay, so if 5 is larger or equal to a 5, you can see this will resolve into a true because 5 is equal to a 5, and you can use it like this also. Okay, so if 5 is larger or equal to 6, this will be of course false. If 5 is larger or equal to a 4, this will be of course true because 5 is larger than 4. Okay, you have an opposite operator, larger or equal like this. So if 5 is smaller or equal to a 4, this is of course false. If 5 is smaller or equal to a 5, this is of course true because 5 is equal to a 5. And you can try 6, and this is of course true because if a 5 is a smaller or equal to a 6, this will resolve into a true. Okay, so this is a comparison operators, and you will see inside of your code, actually, we need to refresh. Let's see it, and if 5 is larger than 7, then call me this block, and this will be, of course, not true. So I will jump inside of the else block. Okay, you can create multiple if statements, or you can use else if. So I can chain here else if, so like this, else if, and let's say if, oops, not like this. Let's say here if 4 is smaller than 10, then console log out here, so console log welcome in else if block. All right, let's save it now. Let's go back to our browsers and let's see what will happen. So if 5 is larger than 7, then call me this console log. This is of course not true, so this is a false. I am jumping into the else if. In else if, I will check if 4 is smaller than 10, and this is of course true, so I will jump into the console log, and this will display welcome in else if block. And I am no longer jumping into the else block, because else block is just a fallback option if everything in front of this will resolve into a false. Okay, so else block is called only if blocks in before else block are evaluated as a false values. Okay, so you will see I am not jumping into the else block, I am jumping outside of here. Okay, so if I will write here a false statement, so let's say if 4 is smaller than 2, you will see I will jump into the else block. Alright, so let's see, this is a false, this is a false, and I'm jumping into the else, because there is no other condition to compare, and the resolved this if as a false, else if as a false, so there is no other option just to call here else block. Alright, let's continue with logical operators, and we will be using AND logical operator and OR logical operator, so let's see it. Okay, so AND logical operator looks like this. Let's see, AND. So this is an AND, and here you have like these two pipes. This is an OR. Okay, so let's see examples with this. I will comment this first if statement, and let's see AND and OR. Okay, so I'll write here under. So let's see if true and false. Alright, like this, then console log out here, welcome in if. Alright, otherwise I will write here console, so console log and welcome in else. So welcome in else. Perfect. Let's save it, and you can guess what we will get here. I can tell you we'll get instead of a else, because in a case of an AND operator, all of the expressions needs to evaluate into a true value. So this will call only console log here in an if block if this will be true and this will be true. But here we have a true and a false. Alright? Let's see this, and actually don't forget debugger here. Alright, so debugger here, let's go back to our browsers. And now you can see we have here true, here we have false. This will resolve into a false value, and this will be called welcome in else. Okay, I will show it to you in a console. So AND operator looks like this. I will remove this. Okay, so if we have a true and false, this will evaluate into a false. So AND evaluate expressions one by one, and if it will find false expression, the whole expression is evaluated as a false. Okay, so for example, if I have a true and true and true, this is still true, but when only one expression will evaluate into a false, this is a false. Okay, if you have a true and true, only then it will evaluate into a true value. Alright, and AND also works like this. If your first expression, for example, or actually let's see it like this, if true and false and true, so this will take a look here. Okay, true is true, that's okay. I'm continuing to next one expression. This is a true, of course. Alright, I'm continuing to next one, but this will evaluate into a false. This whole expression is considered as a false, and it will not even continue to check the next expression. Alright, so then you have false operator, then you have a OR operator. OR operator is different. When you have a true or false, this will evaluate into a true, okay? OR operator will evaluate into a false only when both values are false. So false like this. Alright, false or false, only that this will evaluate into a false. But if you have at least one true value, this will evaluate into a true. You can see, true. Okay, so now let's see examples with this. Let's go back to our coding editors. And I will provide you some example with these real examples. Okay, so let's see if, let's say if 2 is greater than 4 or than 5 and 1 is smaller than 10. You can guess what we'll get here. Alright, so let's guess please. Alright, don't forget debugger in the front, and I can tell you this will evaluate into a false because 2 is not larger than 5. So first expression will evaluate into a false, second one will evaluate into a true. It doesn't matter if only one expression is false, this will evaluate into a false, right? So let's see. Let's see sources. Actually, let's refresh. And you will see this whole expression will evaluate into a false, and we are going inside of an else block. Alright? Alright, now I will provide you some additional examples, and you can find these examples in the resources of this lecture. Okay, so let me copy this, and this will be your mini assignment for now. So just 1 second. I'm copying. Let's go back to our coding editors. You can find this in the resources of this lecture. You can paste it here under. Okay, I will move this debugger just under here, so like this. You can see this code is commented, so I need to uncomment it. I will just select all of this here. Okay, so simply select all of this here, and I will uncomment this. Just 1 second, like this. Perfect. Okay, so your mini assignment is to say which expression is called. Okay, if it's called if block or else block. Right, so let's see. Actually, I have here errors because they should be only alert here, or like this, hello world. So you can take a look on this, and you can say what you will get here, and this should be doctor here. You should get it right inside of your code, don't worry. Okay, so let's debug it together. Let's go back to our browsers, and let's take a look. So I'll refresh. And let's see, so if true is true, of course, this will evaluate inside of our first if block because this is true. You don't need to think about it. Second one will evaluate into a else because true and false. I told you everything needs to be true when you're using AND operator. So this will evaluate into a false. We are getting it of a console log. This one, third expression, will evaluate into a true because we have a false or a true, and a false or a true will evaluate into a true. At least one value needs to be true in the case of an OR. And the whole expression will evaluate into a true. Perfect. Let's see, 5 is greater than 7. 5 is not greater than 7, so this expression will evaluate into a false. Alright, let's see here what you will get in the results. You can guess 5 is smaller than 7 and 4 is larger than 2. So first expression will evaluate into a true. Second expression will evaluate into a true, so you have here true and true. And true is a true, so you will see in the results, you will get here true. The second if here, let's see, 5 is smaller than 7, that's true, and 4 is larger than 2, that's true, and true is true, so I will call here console log. 5 is smaller than 7, that's a true, so I will call console log out here. Alright, you can see I'm consoling logout. Let's see this. Let's guess what we will get inside of the results too. 5 is smaller than 7. That's true. And I don't need to even look on the second one because I know when I have an OR operator, at least one expression needs to resolve into a true and one expression will be true. Okay, so you can see we'll get here true in the results too. Let's take a look here. This is exactly the same expression, so we know that this is true, so this will be also true, so we will console log out here. 5 is larger or equal to a 5. That's of course true, so this will evaluate into a true. So console log. 3 is smaller or equal to a 5. This of course false, because 3 is smaller, so this will not call console log. You will see, or actually a 3 is smaller than 5, my mistake. Alright, my math is not very good today. Alright, so this is of course true. The second one, 2 times 3 is a 6, and a 6 is equal to a 6, so this will resolve into a true. This will call this console log. Alright, now let's see the second. Now let's see the another if statement. So if a doctor school is a Harvard, or doctor age is larger than 25. Doctor school in our case is a testing school, and doctor age in our case is 50. So this will resolve into a true, because first expression is false. Doctor school is a testing school, so this will evaluate into a false. But the second expression saying doctor age is larger than 45, and the doctor age is a 50, so this will resolve into a true. This means this whole expression will resolve into a true, so we will call here console log. Now, tell me if we will call here this alert here. So, if a doctor school is a Harvard, and this is of course false, so we are not even continuing to the second check here, and we are not even continuing to last here. And this is very useful syntax how you can write if statements on a one line. So you can see here, if first expression is completed, then a second expression is called, and if this second expression is resolved into a true, the third expression is called. And third expression can be some function, as in this example. This will not result into a true or false, but we can conditionally check for some conditions. If they are resolved into true, then we can call our desired function, as in this case. Okay, let's continue down here. If a 5 is larger than 7, this of course is not true, because 5 is not larger than 7, and 4 is not smaller than 2, then we are calling here else, and that's it. Alright guys, so that was a lot of if statements, but I hope you are getting some idea how this is working. In next lecture I'll continue with a little bit more if statements. I want to really make sure that you understand if and else, and then I will explain you ternary operators, and we will be talking about 3 equal signs and 2 equal signs. So guys, that's it for this lecture, and I hope to see you in the next one.